Another snowfall. Fresh snow is clinging to everything around us, but we are clinging to the hope that this might be the last. We are now in the middle of March and we are looking forward to spring. We're seeing the trees, they're showing signs, and so it's time. We are going to plant. And my seeding season is going to look different this year. We have a new setup, which I'm really excited about. I have prided myself on being a frugal gardener, one who started her seeds on a windowsill. But all my work was never a guarantee because I never knew how sunny the days might be, and the plants seemed to struggle. So this year was the year. I went on Amazon and I bought grow lights. I set up a stand in the basement, and now it's time to really give my best in starting my seeds in my basement instead of on that south-facing window.
Okay, everyone, today we are going to be talking about seeds. Seeds are a big highlight for me. And I think I've worn off on Sheldon a little bit because they're starting to become a highlight for him. It's always exciting to just wait for the mail to come in and to see exactly what kind of seeds are coming in the mail. I am a big time dreamer. So I love to look through catalogs. I love to follow my fellow gardeners throughout the year, see what they're growing, and then I start making a list of things that I want to grow the following year. So I used to only plant the San Marzan tomato because it was a great tomato that I could just make into tomato sauce. That is what I do with my tomatoes. I always just blend them up, cook them up, and I make them into tomato sauce so that I can then go and make any marinara, pizza sauce, whatever I need to make out of that tomato sauce. So it is common to use a meatier tomato. So a San Marzan would be the type of tomato that you would want to use. I have become more adventurous. Why have I become more adventurous? Basically just because everybody else is showing me all the different types of tomatoes that are out there. My brother, Chris, you've met him before. He loves to experiment, loves to plant all different types of tomatoes, and so he kind of got me into it. He sent me a bunch of tomatoes, different types of plants. I put them in my garden, and I just saw the joy of seeing all these different types of tomatoes coming up in my garden. Also, another piece that really just kind of planted the seed, that's a bit punny, planted the seed for me was the community garden. The community garden was a garden where all of the plants were donated to us. So I had 500 plus tomato plants that were growing all different types of tomatoes because the company that donated all of the plants, they ended up just giving me just a huge array of tomato plants. And so all of a sudden I'm getting yellow tomatoes in my gardens. All of a sudden I'm getting different shapes of tomatoes. I realized, hey, it's actually really awesome to see that one tomato ripens a lot faster than the other. There's early seasons, there's late seasons, and I just thought, man, there's so much more that I can learn about tomatoes. Over the years, I have also just become a little more adventurous with different types of things that I could grow in a garden. I believed for the longest time that here in central Canada, you can only grow a very small amount of items. So you're planting the corn, you're planting the potatoes, you're planting the tomatoes, the peppers, you have carrots and peas and beans, and that's about it. I never went out of my way to see, hey, could I actually plant like dried beans, like kidney beans or black beans or something in my garden? Would that actually work in my garden? And how would I preserve them so that I could use them throughout the year? Another thing that I hadn't tried was peanuts. Hey, could I grow peanuts out here? Could I grow sweet potatoes out here? So I've become a little more adventurous. I've gone out on a limb. I've tried to plant and grow some of these vegetables. Some of them haven't worked. I have yet to grow sweet potatoes. I had one sweet potato come out of my garden last year out of 5 plants. So it's not like I got a huge harvest out of that, but it's a very short season. I have an extremely short season here in central Canada. It's zone 3. It's not you know, the awesome, you know, South Carolina kind of, hey, we're gonna grow for 7 months. No, I'm lucky if I get 4 months out of this. I'm lucky if I get 3 months out of this. But I do what I can. And so I have discovered I can grow beans, I can grow peanuts. I just haven't gotten a lot out of the plants. I can grow popcorn. That is something I tried last year. And I just think that I should have a better success rate. So I'm gonna try all of those things as well. So some beans that I've been growing, I've ordered more, and it's certain ones that I've tried. Jacob's cattle bean is one, and then also the Vermont cranberry bean. It's a beautiful bean, just a gorgeous bean. I love the red and with the darker purple spots on it. It's a gorgeous bean. They taste great. Why not have them in my pantry? Of course, then we have the black turtle bean. I was told by the company that actually donates all of the vegetables, I was told by the owner that the black turtle bean is actually the healthiest bean that you could eat in the world. So I made sure that I got a lot of those seeds this year, and that I'm gonna grow a lot of those beans. And just for a little, you know, extra bonus, beans, you should actually be eating beans for every single meal in the day. It's a cancer fighter. It's really good for you. So now this year, what am I doing this year? What are some fun things that I'm adding to my garden this year? Here we go. I am going to be trying to add goji berries to my garden. It's not really my garden. It's going to go into a pot on the patio, but I want to see if I can grow some goji berries. So that is number one. That is something that I want to grow. Another thing that I want to try and grow is okra. I have seen a lot of people in North Carolina, South Carolina, you know, out there in the longer seasons, I have seen them grow okra. So I want to see what I can do out here in central Canada. Basically, I'm in this spot where I want to see if I can prove some people wrong. There are people out there that say, hey, you can't grow sweet potatoes, you can't grow okra, you can't grow goji berries, you can't grow these types of things out here in central Canada. Well, maybe I can. I'm just going to have to make some adjustments. So it might take me a couple of years to actually be able to grow these properly and actually get fruit off of them, but I'm willing to try, and I'm willing to see like how can I successfully grow these types of things. Another thing that I am going to grow, some people call these the, what are they called again? The miniature Mexican watermelon, which are just cucamelons. So Sheldon has this unspoken rule. I'm gonna call it unspoken. He tells everybody that he is allergic to cucumbers, and he's not, but he hates them. He doesn't like pickles, he doesn't like cucumbers, and so I've never really grown them in my garden because I'm the only one eating them. But this year I decided, hey, I'm gonna grow cucamelons, and they look like little watermelons. Sheldon might try them. I'm just not gonna let him know that they possibly will taste like cucumbers. Hopefully I get that on camera so you can all see it. Another thing that I'm growing is I want to start growing a mixture, just like a rainbow mixture of carrots. It's getting a little more popular. I'm seeing it more in seed stores that you can get like this huge array of different colors of carrots, and I just think that would be beautiful in a dish. It's just fun to pull them out of the ground and have all these beautiful colors come out of the soil. So that is another thing that I am going to try to grow this year. Another thing that I want to grow this year is lentils. Lentils would come kind of under the bean category, and I had so much success with all of my dried beans last year. As you can see, I have jars of kidney beans, and I have these black beans, and I have the cranberry beans. I have the robin's egg blue bean, I want to say that's what it's called. I have the Canadian goose bean. I have all these different colors of beans and they're gorgeous, and I can't wait for that shelf to be built so that I can actually look at them all the time. But I also love just eating them. So I wanted to add lentils to it. It's a great thing that we can just add to a dinner. So we're going to grow lentils and we'll see how that goes. Another thing that I'm really excited about, so it is a big treat for me to have beets in my garden. I love to can the beets and then have them throughout the winter. I add them to my salads. I'll have like a, some kind of collard green salad with feta in there and some nice canned beets. And now this year, I'm going to try a pomegranate beet. It seems as though they are more grown towards juicing so that you can actually juice these beets. And I don't know about you, have you ever drank the juice coming out of a canned beet? Like if you actually can the beets and drink that juice, it is just so tasty. So I figured, why not? Let's try these pomegranate beets. So we're gonna be growing that. Then I'm just gonna be growing a huge assortment of different types of tomatoes. I'm gonna try a couple dwarf brands. I'm gonna try some purple, different brands. There's one that's called the Gargamel tomato, and it's actually a tri-colored tomato. It's pretty ugly. If anyone's watched the Smurfs, you would know who Gargamel is. Hopefully it's not a grumpy tomato. Hopefully it's an easy one to grow. But those are the kinds of things that I'm gonna be growing in this garden. Now in comparison to last year, going from this year into last year, I had, now I'm gonna take a look because I have it all in front of me. I am still in the process of mapping out my garden. So in 2023, I had, it says here, I have 93 different types of seeds or plants in the garden, 93. This year, I am going to have, I'm just adding a few, I'm going to have 109 different types of plants or seeds sown into the garden. There's also a big highlight. We want to start a fruit garden. It's going to have some fruit trees in it. We're going to put some apple trees in there. We're going to put some cherry trees in there. And then I'm going to pull in some Saskatoon bushes. I'm going to transplant all of my raspberry bushes over into that section. And then we will have all of the melons and the squash growing underneath those plants. It's going to be kind of like mulch so that I'm not going to be weeding in that garden. And that stuff can just break down later on, that can break down into that soil. And it's just going to be extra added nutrients to the fruit trees. So I am going to be adding a lot more flowers and a lot more fruit trees. We now have bees on our farm, and so I want to get a lot more pollination going on the property. So I'm going to be putting flowers in amongst my vegetable gardens so that I have pollinators. I am also going to be adding my herb garden. Last year, I wanted to have an herb garden. It never ended up happening because I just ran out of time. I really wanted to plant it, but I actually wanted to do a little bit more of a landscaping project. So you might have seen pieces of my yard. I love the shapes, the romantic lines. I love putting big stones in amongst my flower beds, around my patio. That's really important to me. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to take the one section of the garden that's facing my patio, facing my yard, that I would be seeing it from the house. I actually want to landscape it properly and put some nice romantic lines on that end of the garden, add a bunch of rocks, and then I want to plant all my herbs in those sections. So some of you might be wondering, where do I actually get my seeds from? There are a couple of companies that I will regularly buy my seeds from. There is a Canadian company that I buy a bunch of seeds from, and it's just called OSC. This brand you can buy at your local stores, the grocery stores, that kind of stuff. It is actually it's a Canadian brand from Waterloo, Ontario. And so I figured, why not buy from them? It's easy for me to actually buy these seeds in Canada, and then I just order them directly through the site. I get them nice and early. I don't have to wait for them to come out in the stores. Another company, I'm also buying seeds from Johnny Seeds. Obviously, this is a very popular brand for homesteaders, but to me, it's a very expensive. It's a very expensive seed. So I do buy some of my items there, but I have discovered a new company which I absolutely love. I have used them now for 2 years, and it's called Nikotovka. Nikotovka, now I'm just going to bring it in. Hopefully you can see that. Nikotovka is a Ukrainian company. We are buying these seeds straight from the Ukraine. They are at a very affordable price, and they're wonderful seeds. It's usually, I have never paid shipping on these seeds. Sometimes I have to wait maybe an extra week or two compared to buying something a little more local. They also have a lot of different types of seeds. They don't just have typical tomatoes. They don't just have the typical corn or the typical onions. They have a really great assortment of different types of seeds. So I'm very, very happy with that. Another company that I am buying my seeds from, and this is very specifically, I am buying these seeds. These are my bean seeds that I am buying, and it's called Heritage Harvest Seeds. So these are, this is where I can get a huge array of different types of beans. I haven't found another company that has that many options for bean types. So I make sure to buy my seeds there. The other items like potatoes or the sweet potatoes, something like that, that I can get locally. I just buy it when I am right in the season. Or if I have leftover potatoes in my root cellar downstairs, I will just grab those and I'll plant those back into the ground, and I get a nice harvest of potatoes out of there. That is what I'm growing this year. Of course, there will be the typical bunch of different greens. There's going to be a bunch of, just the typical green bean, the yellow bean. I love eating those fresh. We just love eating those with, steak or something like that. It's a great treat. And then the rest of the stuff, I think I've mentioned most of it.